This is Robert Vroemisse and you're listening to Pixelated Audio. Have fun!
Welcome back to Pixelated Audio, a podcast focusing on game audio, its history, and the people behind it. We're your hosts. I'm Gene, and this is Brian.
Hi, today we are going to be playing music and talking about a game for the MSX2, but released just a few years ago in 2020 called Angelic Warrior DEVA. And joining us today is the lead composer, developer, publisher, like all of the above, Robert Vroemisse. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we started with the title theme. It's a little shorter, so we wanted to jump right into the action with the audio setup menu. This is a very ambitious project. You released it a few years ago. How long were you working on this before you actually were able to release it?
Well, it took us quite some time. I think maybe even 10 years.
Wow.
But we started, 10, 12 years ago. It was supposed to be a little tech demo, but that little tech demo got out of hand. And yeah, it grew bigger and bigger and bigger and more ambitious to the point that we stopped developing for a few years. Okay, this is getting too big. I've got life going on. I've got children going on. I have to divorce my wife. That was a thing that happened during that time.
Hopefully it wasn't because of Project Warrior.
No. I won't. And after a few years, we picked up where we left the game, and we finally finished it. So we could have made it in about 4 or 5 years, but we didn't know how to make a big game. I had some experience with smaller games. It got, like I said, it got bigger and bigger and more ambitious, and finally we got the courage to finish it. So that became Angelic Warrior DEVA.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Robert Vroemisse. It's a really Dutch name. 46 years old, 2 kids, 2 daughters. Like I said, divorced. I started MSX back in the 80s. It was my first computer. course, like everyone, I started playing games, but I was very curious about these games. And how do people make these games? It had programming, it had music, it had graphics, and I was quite interested in the graphical and musical side of it. So I started experimenting as a little boy, and well, the results weren't that impressive. And after a few years, I got my event pack and a music module, the MSX audio cartridge. And well, I was really in love, especially with the MSX audio chip. And I started composing, trying to compose. And now we're 30 years later.
And you're still using the same stuff.
I'm still using the same stuff. And I even got a bit better at composing.
I'll say. I mean, we're talking about it on the show today. It definitely stands out.
It's quite an honor. It's really strange that people are picking up this soundtrack. People that are not into MSX per se. So it's really strange. People who know MSX know the game, know the soundtrack, and say, "Wow, well, nice music, great, nicely done, etc., etc." But people who are generally interested in computer music, well, I didn't know my music reached you people. So I'm quite excited about that.
Made it over the ocean. And,
made it
right
over the ocean. Well, it made it to Japan already, but not America. That's
that's fair.
Yeah.
So Angelic Warrior DEVA was released in 2020. Like I mentioned earlier, it was developed and published by Team DEVA, which is, I'm guessing, it's just a duo of you, Robert Vroemisse, and John Hassink.
No, not. It's not a duo. I'm for DEVA, I was the main composer, and I made 90% of the graphics. Then we have Bart van Velzen.
Okay.
He's a programmer and, some kind of twisted mastermind who comes up with these really strange ideas to do on the MSX, things that are quite impossible, but he gets it done.
That's great because, because this is such a new game and it's a very kind of niche area, right, with the MSX community, there's not a lot of information to go on. So we're really relying heavily on you to provide the correct information here.
Yeah, and the role of John, when we started the game, John should write the whole soundtrack. But he got to 4 or 5 songs and he wasn't really happy about the rest. And like I said, life happened and life also happened to John. So John wasn't able to write the music anymore. Well, in the end, we had an almost finished game with maybe 3 or 4 musics. So I picked up the glove and finished it. Yeah, out of necessity. We needed music, and I'm more a graphics person than a music person. The music I only do as a hobby. I'm a graphic designer. That's my profession. So the whole music composing was it was a lot. In maybe 6 or 7 months, I composed the whole soundtrack, minus the 4 songs John did. And it turned out pretty well, I must say. So I was quite surprised people liked it that much. I just made it.
It turned out great. In fact, I wish I could be that humble and say, "Oh yeah, like I'm not really a composer. I just made this amazing soundtrack." And
yeah, I'm more into the graphical side of the whole MSX. I like the music and I like composing, but John is the real composer of. John is a very good friend of mine. I know him since the early 90s, and we were always busy with making music. But he was always, call it, the better composer of us. And I was the graphic guy, he was the music guy. That's just how the cards were shuffled all those years.
So there was essentially 3 of you then.
Yeah,
entirely.
And some help from Kai Magazine at the end. It's a group from Spain who helped us with some the visual scenes.
Gotcha. So Angelic Warrior DEVA, we haven't really talked about the game. It's a fast action RPG. It's very similar to Psycho World of Release 2. That's what I've seen that description. I think it's a very good description because I played it a ton the last few days.
And I wrote it.
and it has really nice parallax scrolling. There's 10 different environments or levels. Very beautiful graphics.
Thank you.
Visual cutscenes and a banging soundtrack. Robert, tell us just a very simple, short, I guess it's overview if you were going to pitch it to Steam.
It's a very fast-paced action RPG. Like you said, it's a bit like Psycho World, Velis 2, with a big emphasis on speed. Bart made an engine which is really fast with parallax scrolling on MSX. That's quite unique. So we wanted to have a really fast game. The speed is something we wanted to keep. So the areas are large and wide, so you can run. You cover quite some distance in the game. So it's really fast. It's quite big, and like you said, apparently it has a banging soundtrack.
Well, let's jump into that banging soundtrack. Yeah. This is from Area 1. This is the VR testing facility. This is the facility that you start out in immediately when you start the game. Let's take a listen. We'll be right back. All right, that was from Area 1, the VR testing facility, composed by Robert Vroemisse. And this is an excellent action, floaty, just wild track. And I think it's a great first level sound. Tell us about this track.
Well, we picked it to have a strong start with the game. It should start with a lot of energy, so I composed this song with the quick arpeggio and full frontal assault, up-tempo, aggressive melody. Well, it's actually a song I wrote 4 or 5 years ago for a game that never got released. So I reused it, polished it, and well, it became level 1 of DEVA.
Awesome.
It's as simple as that.
We really love these classic 90s triple time, triplet songs. It really brings up the energy right away to get the game started.
Yeah, energy, up tempo, just we throw you in as a player. So here's the first level, here's the music, have fun. Yeah.
It's a very Japanese kind of style of throwing you into this action. It reminds me of a lot of maybe the early like Toa Plan games and stuff like that, where it just throws you right in.
All the MSX games, all the MSX composers who are familiar with MSX games tend to have this Japanese-like style.
We were going to bring that up. Because it's interesting. First, let's back up a second here, though. Tell us about how you got interested in MSX and gaming in general.
Okay, the MSX2 was my first computer. I started out playing games, illegally copied games, and when time went by, the games became better. And I started to really enjoy compile games, Alesta 2, Pyo, and they all had this great music, these great, a bit Japanese sounding tracks, and I was quite intrigued by that. So I just tried to copy that. Yeah, of course, there are other musical influences. I'm a big fan of Jean-Michel Jarre, the French composer, but also things like Cradle of Filth, really aggressive, but really melodic. Yeah, I think you can hear all these influences in my music, but especially compile music, micro cabin music, the Xac series, Illusion City, Frey. These are all soundtracks I know by heart, and I take some of that inspiration with me and use it in my own music. So I listen to a lot of Japanese soundtracks, so I think you can hear it in my music.
Oh, yeah.
And that I think that goes for everyone who has a bit of familiarity with the MSX and the MSX games. It's all that typical Japanese style I love so much.
It's funny that you brought up Lest, because years back we actually had Toshiaki Sakota on the show to talk about his music in the game, and it was so fun because
so jealous.
But now, look, you're in good company, right? So now you're making a debut on the show.
We also recently did a show on the Guardian Legend, and way back we did Illusion City. I can definitely hear great. Illusion City in your music.
Tadahiro Nita.
Yeah.
Yes. It's an amazing soundtrack. I actually didn't really know about the game until Brian brought it up to me, and I fell in love with it immediately.
Yeah, the music is so special. On a side note, last year I had the honor to design a CD cover for Tadahiro Nita.
Oh, wow.
He made a CD with, he's back into MSX music. Well, he released a CD, Coordinates. And I was the one who did the graphical design for that CD. So I can say I have worked with Tadahiro Nita. Not on a musical level, but I designed the CD for him.
Wow, that's incredible.
Really proud.
So, talking about your history and growing up in the Netherlands, what was the Dutch gaming and computer scene like growing up for you? Because it's very different. Like, from what I read, the Netherlands was primarily focused around like the MSX2, where majority of Europe actually was more into things like the BBC Micro and the
C64
Amiga and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in the gaming scene?
Yeah, we had the MSX2 was very popular, but also the C64 and of course the Amiga some years later. But the MSX was used in almost everywhere. You found in schools, for example, when a school had a computer in those days, it was almost always an MSX, an MSX2. There was a bit of a battle between the Commodore users and the MSX users. In those days, we had the FAC, the Federation Against Commodore. It was one of the first MSX scene groups. I won't say we were fighting, but there was a friendly battle going on. Which computer was the best? Which computer had the best graphics, had the best music, had the best games? And well, it was quite nice, I must say. So I grew up with with MSX, but also with Amiga music and C64 music, and of course we had the NES in Holland, and later on the Sega Master System, the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, how it's called in the US. So we had a lot of choice, but we never had things like the BBC Micro, the ZX Spectrum. We knew it existed, but it was from old legend. We knew there was a ZX Spectrum, but nobody ever had ever seen one.
Yeah, so I had never heard of the ZX Spectrum until like way later on in life. I think that was more of a kind of Eastern European thing that we just didn't get so much here. So
well, it's a bit of an English thing, I think.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, there was a community there.
They were very excited about this whole ZX Spectrum thing, but I never liked it. It graphically it didn't do it for me, and well, yeah.
It does have a really cool sound chip, though. So
that's true.
I've heard some really good stuff. And mostly the demo scene stuff that I hear comes from, Eastern Europe or, Russia, Ukraine, stuff like that.
Had a long tail there for sure.
The Russians are really into the whole demo scene. Finland is very active with demos. And in the 90s, the Dutch were really into the whole demo scene. But that gradually changed when we don't want to make demos anymore. We just wanted to make games. So we started making games.
Well, speaking of demos, we have a track here. This is the introduction demo 2.
Oh, yeah.
And let's take a listen. We'll be right back. That was Introduction Demo 2, and this was for Angelic Warrior DEVA, composed by Robert Vroemisse. Tell us about this track.
Well, it's actually one of my favorite tracks of the games. I composed it for a reason. I was just playing around with my keyboards, and suddenly I had the intro. So I translated that to MSX, and then the song grew and grew and grew and grew. It starts slowly, but then it goes. The drums come in, and we have different melodies doing things with each other. They're complementing each other, and it has a really, in my opinion, a little bit of a Jean-Michel Jarre vibe. The old musical Jean-Michel Jarre. He used 2 or 3 synths to create one melody, and I tried to do that. So it's one of those songs that composed itself. Actually, I just was the person who inputted the notes, but it was already there. So it's one of those songs I really enjoy listening to. And at the end of the soundtrack on YouTube, there's a recent arrangement of that song, which really kicks ass, I think.
Well, we want to listen to one of those tracks a little bit later on, but let's go ahead and move into our next track here. This is one of my favorites, actually. This is from Area 2. This is Sky Aquaducts.
That was Area 2, Sky Aquaducts, from the game Angelic Warrior DEVA.
Fantastic track.
You know, at the very beginning of this track reminds me of, I don't hear this one talked about very much, but at the Sigma levels in Mega Man X2, there's a track that kind of starts out like this. That one doesn't get nearly enough love, but I, immediately thought of that game. I was hearing a lot of Ease, that sort of, like you said, that Japanese kind of rock style. And also, I was definitely hearing some influence of demo tunes and parts of the soundtrack as well. So it's a really nice mix.
Well, let me first say you have an excellent choice in picking songs, because Level 2 is really my favorite song of the whole soundtrack. Yeah, I really like that song.
I will say, this is when I heard this, it made my ears perk, because I was listening to the soundtrack. I listen to a lot of game music when I'm working and stuff like that, because I write software, and so like I need something without lyrics and something that I can just kind of get in the groove. And
yeah, I know the drill.
Yeah, and so I was listening to this in the background, and this one just, my ears perked up, and I was like, oh my god, I love this melody, and then the counterbalance with like changing the frequencies and yeah, and I didn't really look into like the composer and stuff right away. I looked over and I was like, wait, this is not a Japanese composer? Wait a minute. Like what's going on here? And then that's where I was like, oh, you know what? I really need to look more into this game. And this is kind of the track that inspired me to really get in touch with you.
Oh, cool.
It's excellent.
Yeah, it's yeah. Like I said, it's my favorite track from the game. It has the What can I say about it? A short, funny story. The song started out as some kind of ballad. Some years ago, I was in love with some girl. It's all very cheesy, and I tried to write a romantic song in Reason, and I'm not good at writing romantic songs. I eventually ended with the beginning of this track. Well, a few years later, I rediscovered it, and when I turned the tempo up, I thought, wow, this is a really nice start for an up-tempo song. So I made an MSX version, and this is also one of these songs that got bigger and bigger over a few months of time. I first made the first melody line, the second melody line, then it returns to the first, and then there comes a little bit of easy listening part for some patterns, and then it goes up again, and it just has some kind of flow. I don't know. It's really my favorite song of the whole game.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love that song. Can you say that about your own music? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Of course you can. So talking about the soundtrack itself, we didn't really bring this up too much in the beginning, but there's two versions of the soundtrack. We're primarily focused on one side of them. It was designed for both the MSX music and the MSX audio chips, and then there is a standalone for just the OPL or the OPLL. And so tell us about your composition. What software did you use? I believe Moonblaster, but I'm just taking a guess here.
Yeah. You guessed right. I use Moonblaster to compose. It's quite an ancient music editor from the mid-90s, I think. But it's the only music editor that can do MSX music and MSX audio at the same time. And I really love the combination of MPEX, MSX music, and MSX audio. So, that's my weapon of choice. And
can you tell us, we've talked about it before in the show, but can you tell us about the differences between MSX music and MSX audio?
Yeah, I can. The MSX music is the same music chip that's in the Japanese master system. It's on the MSX, it's called the MPEG. It has, I think, 15 hardware voices. And then you have one software voice you can create yourself. And it has, some basic percussion. And the MSX audio, it has quite a lot of hardware voices. I think almost like the General MIDI sound bank. And some versions of the MX audio chip, for example, the Philips music module, it has a sample channel, a 60 kilohertz. I think it's 60 kilohertz, but I can be mistaken. A sample channel for sampled drums. And the music module was very popular in the Netherlands in the 90s when you were a bit serious about MSX. You had a music module, and you were composing for it. But outside Holland, not so many people knew it. So the MPEG, the MSX music, is my main music chip for this game, and the MSX audio I only use it to make the MPEG more full, more
rich sounding and kind of complete.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, rich sounding. But it's mainly composed for the event pack. When you have an MSX audio chip, that's nice. You have a nice bonus, but the MSX music, when you only have the MSX music, it sounds nice as well.
Yeah.
But I should really say, just buy an MSX audio, put it in, and enjoy how the music really was composed.
Well, we're doing our best to make it sound the way it was really composed in this show. So at least you're getting that side.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump into another track here. This is the boss theme, and I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe this is for every boss. It's the same theme. Yeah. So let's take a listen, and we'll be right back.
I was too lazy to create more.
All right, this is the boss theme. All right, that was the boss theme from this amazing game by Team DEVA, Angelic Warrior DEVA, composed by Robert Vroemisse. And the boss theme, I gotta say here, when I first started listening to it, I was like, okay, this sounds like a just standard boss theme. I expect it to be this 15-second loop over and over, menacing kind of thing. And then you do something completely out of bounds, and it has melody, and it has this soaring melody, and it's incredible. This is such an awesome boss theme.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it was supposed to be an awesome boss theme, so mission accomplished, I think. Yeah, it's this song started out as a really slow song. Like you said, I wanted to do a really slow, menacing song with a lot of tension, but it just didn't click in my head. So I
at first thought you were going to say you were writing another love song, and it just turned into this.
No. Not everything is a love song with me. No, but I try to mimic the compile sound, especially the level 4 music from Alesta 2. It's a really short song, but they use the harpsichord as some kind of electric guitar, and it's. I always like that. So the harpsichord plays a big role in the bass part of this song. And then there is, I introduced the square wave to make a really fast melody. And, well, it was composed in, it took me 2 nights and half a bottle of whiskey. I always drink whiskey when I compose. It's a really bad habit, but it gets the creativity flowing. I don't know.
Hey, whatever works. Whatever works.
I can do heroin, but I chose whiskey. Yeah.
Anyways, so we talked about some of the soundtracks that stood out to you, a lot of the compile stuff. Was there any other MSX games that you heard the soundtracks and you're like, it blew your mind? RPGs or anything?
Yeah, there's a game called Starship Rendezvous. And that soundtrack is so unique. I've never heard these sounds before, and it's the whole soundtrack sounds like it's on a distort pedal. It's really gritty. It's really I don't know what they did with the event pack, but it sounds like one big overdrive guitar, and it's so awesome. They use the event pack and the PSG, and wow, that's one soundtrack you should really have a listen. Yeah.
We might have to do a show on that coming up.
Yeah, when you do, please mail me. I want to listen. I want to. Yeah, Compile did it for me. Microcabin, Falcom.
All the greats.
Yeah, all the greats. I forgot to mention Konami. Konami made a lot of games for MSX. Metal Gear 2, the whole Gradius series, Salamander, Space Mambo. Oh, all great soundtracks.
We did an episode a long time ago on what is it? Knights. What's the name of it? Nightmare.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
The trilogy.
Yeah. So we did the whole trilogy. It's
Nightmare,
great soundtrack.
Metal Gear, Shalom, especially Metal Gear. It has such great music, such big atmosphere. With just 3 lousy PSG channels, they work magic with that. So awesome, so awesome.
So we talked about John Hassink in the beginning of the show. He did some tracks here. We do want to play a track. I think we have like 1 or 2 tracks from him. Okay. This one is the Area 3 Geyser planes. Let's take a listen.
Geyser planes, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a listen. We'll be right back.
All right, that was stage 3, Geyser Planes from the game Angelic Warrior DEVA, composed by John Hassink.
This is an interesting one because you can hear the style difference. It's a great track.
It's a little more stripped back. It's got a little bit of a different atmosphere or vibe to it. It's a really good track, but very different.
It's another composer.
Yeah, it's another composer. Yeah, the bass definitely takes the forefront here.
Yeah, that's John is really good with strange basses. I'm more into strong melodies, but he's really into strange compositions. He's very skilled. He knows his music. I'd rather have a simple song that has a great melody, and he's like, it has to be strange. It has to be with for example, a bass line that goes all over the place. I really like that from John. I wish I could do that as well.
Have you worked with John in the past?
Yeah, a lot. A lot. I know John. He was in the first MSX scene group I was in, called Sargon, and he was the composer of that group. I joined that group as a graphics guy, and later on I also began writing music, and we had some wild weekends, John and I. Let's put it that way. He lives in The Hague. It's quite a big city in Holland. And, everything in The Hague is bigger, better, and contains more alcohol than in the small village where I live. So it was, as a 60-year-old boy, it was, wow, it's life-changing events happened there. Yeah, so I had a lot of fun with John in the past. I still do, actually. He's a very dear friend of mine.
Excellent.
So we work a lot together.
Very cool. Let's jump into stage 4, area 4. This is the Plasma Factory.
Oh, yeah.
That was the Plasma Factory from Area 4. And this is kind of, back to Robert's work here. I mean, we could tell this is definitely a Robert track, and it's incredible.
High energy rock. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's a really old track. I composed it for another MSX sound chip called the Moon Sound. It's an OPL4 sound chip. It's a 24-channel wavetable and 18 FM channels. And I first wrote it in 96, 97, I don't know. Forgot about the song. And years later, when I was making the DEVA soundtrack, I remembered, oh man, I have this rock song lying around. I think I liked it back in the day, so I rearranged it for MSX Music and MSX Audio, and this is the result.
Turned out great.
Yeah, it's, the Moon Sound, the OPL4 version has some grinding guitars and a lot of drum and a double bass, and it's really rock, metal, a little bit industrial. It's a very up-tempo, aggressive song, and it's like I said, it's a really old song, really old.
And it made its debut like 25 years later. So
I think
that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's,
sat dormant.
Yeah.
So I actually, I played the game. I purchased a copy. I played the game the other day, and I made it all the way up until Area 3, and then I got frustrated, and because it's not easy, and got frustrated. I didn't make it past the Geyser Plains. So we're talking about the different levels here. There's 10 different environments, and tell us about the design and the environments and the kind of the purpose of the game here. Maybe the story.
Yeah, the story. Well, the plot is you have the Asuras. That it's a race of demon-like people, and you have the good guys, the Amaravati, if I pronounce it correctly. And you start out as an Asuras warrior. You are the daughter of the Asuras leader, and after a few levels you discover that you are not Asuras, you are kidnapped, you are transformed into some kind of fighting machine, and you, in level 6 or 7, you accidentally kill your own mother. And it's a really sad scene, and then you realize, I'm not Asuras. I've been played my whole life. Time for revenge, and so that happens. And after level 10, you get the end visuals. In that, at the end of the story, you kill your own what you think was your father and your least favorite uncle, General Kurma. And you walk all alone into the sunset with a very sad song. So the game does not have a happy ending. I like stories that do not have a happy ending. And about the levels. Making the levels was quite difficult, I must say. So we made the game, so we played it a lot back in the day. So everything became easy for us. So when making new worlds, for example, World 7, 8, 9, the worlds later on in the game, we made it really, really difficult. Because we were so skilled at the game, no problem for us, but it was unplayable. So that was one of the reasons it took us so long to finish the game, because all the levels had to be redesigned. We had some play testers at the end of the production, and they said, "Well, sorry, it's really unplayable." I like it. It's nice. It's big. It has every potential to be a nice game, but it's really too hard. So back to the drawing board. I opened a bottle of whiskey, and I redesigned every world to make them somewhat easier. So it's still a hard game, but trust me, it was impossible.
Sounds like this game was completely fueled by whiskey at this point. So
it's a bit it's another hobby of mine. Whiskey, I really like whiskey. Sorry.
That's good. Let's get into our next track here, where whiskey should not be involved. This is the construction site. We'll be right back.
That was Area 7 construction site.
Tell us about this track, Robert.
Well, there's a lot to tell about this track. I first composed this track not for a computer game at all. Some 15, 20 years ago, I worked at some office. I made books in these days, and the company existed 10 or 15 years, I don't know. And they wanted to make a song. Just a song, and they knew I was busy with music, so they asked me, "Can you compose a song for the office?" Well, of course, no problem. So I came up with this song, and we with some colleagues we went into a studio. Because my boss said, well, I can play the guitar, well, I can play the drums. So we all went into the studio to make this fantastic track. And I discovered then that if somebody says I can play the guitar, they cannot play the guitar. So, and when people say I can play drums, you know how a drum how it looks like, but you can't play it. So the result was really, really, really awful. Yeah, but I really liked my track, so I made an entire new version with this
some of the same ideas and stuff.
Yeah, the same ideas, the same melodies. It was 10 years later when I rearranged it, so I had learned something about music, of course. So I made a better, more up-tempo arrangement of the whole song. There's quite a nice Reason arrangement available on YouTube.
I'm glad you brought that up. I want to play a clip of that right now because the arranged version, you released all this stuff for free. Yeah. And I think there's like 7 arranged tracks.
Yeah, something like that. 7, 8, don't know exactly.
Yeah, let's take a listen. All right, that was the arranged version of Construction Site, and I believe this was composed in Reason, you said?
Yeah, this is made with Reason 5, I think. Some of the arrangements are made with an illegally downloaded Reason 5, and along the way I purchased an original Reason 11. So this is one of the older arrangements that's made with an old version of Reason. But I wanted to make a really over-the-top version with big bass drum and all the whistles and bells. And, this is the result.
Excellent. Yeah, it turned out really cool. Really cool. Some of these arrangements are, it's weird because I've been listening to the MSX version so much now. And then I hear the arrangement, it's like, wow, this is like different. This is totally different.
The song has a bit of a space synth vibe, Italo, like Koto, Laser Dance, this typically 80s disco, easy music. But sometimes I really like it. These cheesy Lin drum sounds with nasty synth loops, like it.
Excellent.
So you mentioned early on a couple of times that you're primarily a graphics artist. Yeah. So tell us about that. I mean, obviously we're here talking to you about the music, but you've been working on graphics for this game and many other games in the past. Mm-hmm. Give us that overview.
Yeah. I work as a graphics designer at this moment at an agency that makes e-learning. Mm-hmm. In the past, I made a lot of illustrations. I'm somewhat busy with virtual reality at the moment. And for MSX, I really like making graphics for MSX because You have a low resolution, so you only have 16 colors. And when I'm working, I'm using Photoshop, I'm using Cinema 4D, all these big programs that you can make really big with millions of colors, and the restriction of only having 16 colors, it gets my creativity flowing. Limited colors, limited resolution, to make the best of it.
We've talked about this on the show before too. Having these restrictions actually promotes the creativity in a lot of ways, because you have to kind of think within a box how to make
between the boundaries. Same goes for music. When I compose on the MSX, I have 6 channels or 9 maybe. And when I make something with Reason, the sky is the limit. Want to add an entire orchestra? No problem. Just load in the orchestra. And on the MSX, that's not possible. Just 6 channels, and some channels you can't even use because they are echoing for the main melody, so you lose a channel for that. So you have effectively 4 channels or something, and to make something nice within these restrictions is really cool. I really like using the restrictions of the system.
So we have another track here. This was also composed by John Hassink, where we've just played Area 7, the construction site, and then moving on to Death Zone, Area 8. Let's take a listen. We'll be right back. All right, that was from Area 8, Death Zone, composed by John Hassink. This is a cool track because it's got this really, like, groovy kind of like ugliness to it. I love it.
I really wanted this track into the game. John was not really satisfied with it, but I hit him in the face a few times, so it's in the game now. I really like this track. When I first heard it, I was okay, John. This is one of the best tracks you've ever wrote, at least the last few years, and we really need this track. So he polished it a bit. I made the MSX audio arrangement to make it all sound a bit like the rest of the game, and it's in there, and I'm really glad it is.
I hope John listens to this episode and realizes that what a great track it was, and because
what a great composer he is.
Yeah. We have some more questions around the physical release. We talked about it was released both physically and digitally. What was the idea behind creating a physical cartridge for this, and then obviously making the digital release?
We wanted to make a physical release because we always wanted to release something on cartridge. Back in the 90s, we weren't able to make our own cartridges. So when you release something, it was on disc. And the cartridge is somewhat a magical medium for us. So we really wanted to do that, and we put so much time and effort into this game, so it just needed a proper release with on the cartridge with a full color manual and a nice box with nice cover art. The game just deserved that. 2 years later, 2 years later, we decided to do a digital release as well. At first, we only did a physical release. But we got so many questions from people who are really interested in MSX but don't have an MSX, so they're using emulators.
And that's me.
Yeah, that's you, for example. But a lot of people with you, they were just waiting, hoping for a physical release. Please do it. I want to play this game. So eventually we made it available digital. And it sold as well now.
I just wanted to know, was it difficult to make the actual physical cartridge? I mean, I don't even know what the process is of getting cartridges made in 2020. Well, this decade. Yeah,
there are a few people that I know of in Europe who make them. So we ordered our cartridges in Spain. And you get a really big box full of black cartridges sent to you at home. And I designed the stickers, the manuals, the boxes, everything. So at home I put them together with a little help of my oldest daughter, and started to distribute them by mail. But the whole process of making a cartridge, we just ordered them. And we had, because the game is quite big, we need special cartridges with lots of storage. So the cartridges were quite expensive. We didn't make a really big profit on the game, but that was never the intention. We just wanted to give the game a proper release with a nice box, and screw the money. I'm not into MSX to get rich. We wanted to make nice things and get noticed maybe.
Are the physical releases still available? Because when I was looking at some of your posts, it looked like it was like a very limited number. And so is that still something that you could purchase today if somebody listening wants to purchase it?
When you're really quick, I've literally got 2 boxes at home.
You hear that, everybody? That's your chance. Bug now.
There are two physical releases available, but when a lot of people want them, I can reorder some cartridges. But I will only do that when I have 30, 40 pre-orders. So because it's quite a hassle, you have to order them, you get them at home, you have to do all the distributing. I do it myself. So
you're a full production house at this point.
Yeah.
At least you got your daughter working for you.
For
I will
free.
say though, yeah, for free. You don't have to pay. I will say though that if you don't have an MSX, the way I got it was the digital copy, and it's only €15, and it comes with a manual. It's really cool to be able to pop that in. I love the fact that I can play it on my computer and then go over to my laptop and play it on that too, which is really convenient. I wish I had an MSX. That's one thing that's on my to buy list at some point.
Yeah, you can go to buy.gp.
Well, I mean, you also have to have the funds to be able to do it.
Yeah, I know.
They're not cheap. So anyways, we got another track here. This is Mid Demo 2. I love this track a lot. Let's take a listen.
That was Mid Demo 2 from Angelic Warrior DEVA. And I feel like you're channeling Tadahiro Nitta there for sure. some of the slower songs from
definitely. I totally hear
from
that.
Illusion City. I love it.
Thank you. It was a very brave attempt by me to write a sad song. I tried making sad songs in the past, but I don't think I have any sad songs in me. So this one, it's What can I say about this song? It just came to me, blah de blah de blah de blah.
I do like the heavy bass undertones that really drive the song. There's the kind of fluttering lead every now and then, but really the start of the show here is that groaning bass. It just has this somber aspect too that I think really accompanies the cutscene.
The whole soundtrack has that gritty bass. It's one of the things that holds the soundtrack together. It's an instrument that's on the MSX audio, and it's a really dark, gritty sound, and I really like it a lot. In most of the somewhat slower songs, the visual scene songs, it has that bass. I'm actually a bit in love with that bass, I think. Yeah. It's dark. It's Rammstein-like.
Let's get into our next track here. This is from Area 10, Arctic Mines. That was from Area 10, The Arctic Mines, composed by Robert Vroemisse for Angelic Warrior DEVA.
Where are all the guitars? I just feel like every time I hear these up-tempo rock songs, I want these wailing guitars to come in.
Guitars. Yeah.
It's a great track.
Yeah, it was the very first track I wrote for the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you started backwards almost.
Yeah, I wrote a bunch of music and then decided where to put it. No, it really needs a guitar. I know it has a bit of that wall of sound idea with the strings that do a rhythm. Yeah, accompanied by a really fast bass. It gets a bit of that rock metal feel. But it needs a grinding guitar, I know, but it's very difficult to make a grinding guitar with just 6 lousy FM channels.
Well, I think you pull off something really special. This whole soundtrack is nothing to look back at and say, oh, I wish I would have done this different. I think it works perfectly for the game. Especially
in this song, the MSX audio part is very important in this song. It creates that, like I said just before, that wall of sound, that rich string sound. When you only play the FM version, it's still a nice song, but it loses quite a lot of punch. You really need the MSX audio to enjoy this one. So, yeah.
So where can people get the game and the music if they wanted to pick it up right now? We talked about the physical release. It can email you and pay for it that way. But what about the soundtracks? Where are these released?
The soundtracks are released on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I shall give you the link. It is also available on msx.org. In the download section, there's a really large zip file with all the MP3 files. And I think it's also available on vgmrips.net.
Yep, and we will have all these links in the show notes. So if you open up the show notes now, you can download all of this wonderful music right now.
And all for free.
All for free?
All for free. Yeah. Are these guys nuts?
They must have been drinking a ton of whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey. Yeah, we did.
So what other stuff are you working on? I was on the MSX forums, and I saw that you just demoed a game recently.
Yeah. That's true. We're making a new game with, somewhat the same team as we did DEVA with. It's called Ushas 2. As you might know, maybe, The Treasure of Ushas is a game made by Konami in 1987. It's a platformer with a bit of... it's quite mysterious, but the most mysterious part about the game is the ending. When you finish the game, the whole world explodes, and it has always been a mystery. So, why is that? It never gets explained. So we thought we could make a prequel to that game, but with the knowledge about the system we have now. So. It's going to be a Metroidvania game 2 times larger in size than DEVA, and it's coming along nicely, I must say. We use another sound chip this time, and it looks very promising right now. But we don't have a trailer or something yet. We just showed it to the public last Saturday for the first time, and I think people liked it. So we're still working on it.
Nice. When do you expect a release date, or is it kind of TBD?
Well, it's ready when it's ready. If it's one thing we learned about DEVA is never set yourself a hard deadline. It's we're gonna make it a piece of art. Everything in the game is really thought out, play tested, and it's gonna be large with a really large storyline, big music score using Moon Sound this time, the OPL4, and Work in progress.
Are you doing all the music for it?
No. I'm not doing music this time. I'm I'm making graphics this time. 20 worlds to be exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Sounds like a big project. How many people involved this time?
it sounds like a lot of whiskey. How many people are involved? 5 at this moment, not counting the playtesters.
Excellent.
Got it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Are you a little sad that you're not doing the music this time, or relieved?
No, I'm delighted to not doing music. So I have I really need all the time I can get to make the graphic, because we're really talking a huge amount of graphics this time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm making the world, and it's a Metroidvania, so it has a really large world. 900,000 different rooms, Symphony of the Night size.
Wow.
So it's
On the MSX too, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
we raised the bar a bit, and together with the MSX, we're making a version for Steam.
Oh yeah.
So
nice.
so even more people can play it. I just saw the first videos of the Steam version early today. And it kicks ass. It's gonna be something nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we have another track here. This is from the shop theme. So there's several different shop themes.
3 shop themes.
Yeah, there's a good shop theme, a neutral shop theme, and a bad shop theme. We love them all, but we wanted to pick one, and the one we picked was the neutral, because we were kind of neutral about all 3 of them. We wanted to pick the best. We wanted to pick the best one, and it just turned out the middle one and was the best one. So this is the neutral shop theme, and we'll be right back. All right, that was the neutral shop theme from Angelic Warrior DEVA on the MSX2, composed by Robert Vroemisse.
That's right.
So I am just really curious. I've never heard of a game having multiple shop themes for like a good, bad, and a neutral version. What's the story there? That seems like a very interesting design choice.
Well, it's not so new as you might think. Konami did it with Penguin Adventure.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They have a good, a neutral, and a bad shop owner, and we really like that idea, and to pay some kind of homage to Penguin Adventure. We wanted to include three kinds of shops. And so I made 3 songs, a happy version, a neutral version, which are quite alike. Also some small differences, and a somewhat shorter song for the bad shop.
Yeah, the Bad Shop doesn't give as much love because he's kind of a jerk. So
yeah. He's a bit of an asshole. He steals from his mother, hits his children. Not a nice guy. Yeah. So there's not much to say. I started out with the Happy Shop, and then I transformed some things. The bass line is somewhat different. The intro is somewhat different, but only on a detail level. So it's there's nothing more to say about these songs.
Except you can buy some stuff in this shop. Of course.
Yeah, of course. but that has nothing to do with the music. Yeah, the music has to do with the prices in the shop.
There you go. They're just neutral prices, so that's where the music came from.
And the nice thing about the shops is when you press the space bar from, okay, you're going to start a new game, the game generates all the items in the shop. So each time, each shop has other items. So each playthrough is different because of that.
Oh, wow.
So that's a nice mechanism. Nobody knows about it. I think it's in the manual, somewhere in Corpse 6 somewhere put away. But that's why we have the different shops to make it more interesting for the player, and that each time you don't know what to expect, so you have to improvise.
Well, the game is definitely impressive. It's, looking at other games that I've played, the scrolling and just everything in general is so impressive for an MSX2 game. And the soundtrack is excellent, and just the complete package is just really polished. You guys did such a great job.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been talking to a lot of indie developers and smaller developers lately.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, one thing we always just say is really congratulations. I mean, it is a huge accomplishment to release a game of any size, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
you've done a great job. You have this massive soundtrack, and it sounds like you have bigger ambitions with the,
Yeah,
you know, the sequel to Fru-miss-uh and, you know, going on to Steam.
If you like DEVA, you're going to really like our next game.
Yeah. So, you know, pat yourselves on the back. You've done a great job.
Thanks.
Everybody on the team did a great job.
Great.
Yeah. And so winding up the show here, today we covered Angelic Warrior DEVA on the MSX2, composed by Robert Vroemisse, and also some tracks composed by John Hassink. If you want to know more about the show, you can find us online at pixelatedaudio.com for the show notes and the track list. And make sure you join our Discord, where there's a lot of good chatter always happening. And leave comments or feedback for anything that we may have missed or you want to hear more about. It's always appreciated.
Yeah, and if you're new to our podcast, make sure to check out some of our past shows. We've had some really amazing interviews lately. We just talked to Neil Biggin a little while back. Of course, Super Mega Zero, which, again, another small indie dev with a really amazing soundtrack. We've got tons of shows. I love our composer shows. I love having guests on. So just check back. If you see a name that you recognize, I guarantee it's a good time.
We have two tracks ending the show, so we're gonna play the end demo 2 because this is just a great way to kind of lead out the show, and then kind of want to just play a little stinger at the end with the game over theme because I think it's just so fun. Plus, I got game over a lot, so it's reminiscent now.
You died.
Robert, any other plugs that you have?
Well, not at this moment. Please buy our game, listen to the music, or maybe don't buy the game, or just say you like the music. That's enough. Like I said, we're not in it for the money, we're just in it for the fun. So we like making games, and we keep on doing that, and there's more to come, and that's it.
Excellent. Well, it was such an honor to have you on the show and talk about your music and your game, and we really look forward to having you on again for whenever this new game comes out. Hopefully it's not 10 years.
No, we try to finish it before I die. I'm 46 now, so
you got some time.
I've got some time.
At least 10 years.
Yeah, so, with all the whiskey involved.
Anything you want to tell us about this end demo track or the game over theme before we close out the show?
The end demo team, and demo 2. I wanted to make a Falcom-like game. You have Dragon Slayer 6, one of my favorite MSX2 soundtracks. I tried to mimic the whole feel with the flute and the piano and the bit of a sad vibe to it. And I think I succeeded, but I let you be the judge of that.
Yeah, we'll let the listeners know.
And the end demo team, the game over team, I wrote it in half an hour. It's just nothing special. It was a really, damn, we need a game over team. Give me a second. And there it was.
And here you go. Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much, Robert, for joining us. And I know the time difference is nuts, but really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, so much for listening, and we'll see you back in a few weeks for the next episode.
All right. Bye.